This week's Torah portion is the portion of Eschanan. It's in Deuteronomy chapter 3, verse 23. Moses talks about how he pleaded with God to let him into the Holy Land. He prayed to God, "O God, Lord, you have begun to show me your greatness and your display of power. What force is there in heaven or earth who can perform deeds and mighty acts as you did? Please let me cross the Jordan. Let me go into the Holy Land. Let me see Jerusalem, the great mountain." But he says, no, God said, enough. Do not speak to me anymore about this. Climb to the top of the cliff. Gaze to the west, the north, the south, and the east. Let your eyes feast on it, since you will not cross the Jordan. Give Joshua instructions, strengthening him and giving him courage, since he will be the one to lead the people across, and he will parcel out the land that you will see. So that's the brief discussion that's recorded in the Torah. In the Midrash, there's a beautiful, beautiful Midrash. We can't go through the whole thing. I encourage you, if you own it or look at it online, it's in the Medshaba in the book of at the end of the book in the portion of Zeis HaBracha, and it's in section number 10. I'm going to read for you a little of it. It's really extremely powerful and insightful. So it says that initially Moses thought that he'd be able to convince God to let him in, because throughout the 40 years in the desert, many, many times the Jews sinned and God wanted to punish them. And Moshe Rabbeinu pleaded to Hashem to have pity on them, and Hashem listened to him and he forgave them. So he thought, as far as the Jewish people, even when they sinned, and even terrible sins, Moses was able to convince God to forgive them. So when it comes to Moses himself, who never sinned, and the sin that God attributed to him is really tiny, he thought he would definitely be able to convince Hashem. So it says that the Midrash goes on to say that when God saw that Moses was really trying hard to pray and to get Hashem to change his mind, it says, Miyad kofetz olav. God sprung to action. V'nishba b'shmai hagadol, and he swore in his great name, Shelo yikonis l'Eretz Yisrael. God had to swear because he was afraid that he's going to get. God had decided that Moses can't go into the land. One of the reasons given by the Kabbalists is that everything that Moses did is forever. Moses gave us the Torah is forever. It will never change. It will be with us forever. The Mishkan that Moses built is really forever, because even though that Mishkan was replaced by the first Beis HaMikdash, which was replaced by the second Beis HaMikdash, but eventually the third Beis HaMikdash will never be destroyed. So if Moses would have brought the Jews into Israel, the Kabbalists explain that the Jews would never have been able to be kicked out of Israel, even if they sinned a lot, and then God would have no choice. If he couldn't send them into exile, they would have to be destroyed. Anyway, that's a side point. But God decided that Moshe Rabbeinu was not able to go into Eretz Yisrael. And in order to stop him from keeping on praying, and that his prayers should be able to change his mind, God made a promise. He swore in his name. When Moses saw that, it says that he made a little circle on the ground. He stood in the circle and he said, I am not going to budge from here until I insist to God that you annul that decree. And then he put ash on his face, and he put on sackcloth, and he started to cry and to beg. And he was crying and begging and praying so hard that the heavens and the earth began to shake. And then God made a decree throughout all the heavens. He told all the angels, quickly, close all the gates of heaven. The prayers of Moshe are so powerful. They're coming through the heaven. They're bursting through. I'm not going to be able to say no to him. Close all the doors, lock all the doors. Don't let his prayers go up. I'm skipping here. It's really beautiful stuff if you have a chance to go through it. And then it says Moses actually was prayed 515 prayers, separate prayers that God should allow him into the land of Israel. Rashi brings this down. It says, V'eschanan el Hashem ba'isahi lemer v'eschanan. I begged Hashem at that time. The Hebrew word v'eschanan has the numeric value of 515. So Moshe Rabbeinu was praying and praying. And he said, it was one of the things, the Midrash goes through several things that he told God. He said, first of all, I worked so hard for the Jewish people. 40 years, I cried and I begged, and I went through such difficult times. They were very, very difficult people, and I carried them like a mother carries her child, and I begged for them and I prayed for them. And now they're about to go into the land of Israel, and you're leaving me behind. And then he kept on going, and God kept on saying no. And then Moses finally says, you don't want to let me into Israel. Let me just live in this world, somewhere, not in Israel. God said no. And then he said, okay, you don't want me to live as a human being in this world? Why don't you take my soul, please, take my soul and put my soul inside an animal, and I'll eat the grass and drink water like a beast of the field. But my soul will be on this world. And God said no. And then he said, could you put my soul inside a bird and I'll fly throughout the world? And God said no. And then the Midrash goes on to say, at that time, God said no. And he sent the angel Gabriel, and he told him, I want you to go to take the soul of Moshe Rabbeinu. It's time for him to pass on. And Gabriel said, refused. Crazy Medrash. I mean, God is telling an angel what to do, and he says, no, I refuse to take his soul. He doesn't want to. I'm not going to take it against his will. And it didn't help. And then God said, finally, I have to send the angel of death. He didn't want to send the angel of death to Moses, but he had no choice. All the good angels didn't want to go, and the angel of death, which is connected to the Samach Mem, to Satan. So he was willing to go. But then the Midrash goes on to explain he tried to go to Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was more powerful than him, and he told him to go flying. At the end, God said, I have no choice. Nobody is willing to take your soul, or nobody can take your soul, so I'm going to go myself. So God says, I myself, I'm going to come and grab you. So Moses prepared himself, and God came down with 3 angels, and the angels prepared a bed for him and prepared sheets for him. And God gave him a kiss, and Moses' soul connected to God, and that was it. What's very, very difficult to understand about this Medrash is that once Moshe Rabbeinu was told he can't go into the Holy Land, the reason why he wanted to go to the Holy Land, obviously, is not because he wanted to, as a tourist, he wanted to see the beautiful land. He wanted to go, our sages teach us in the Talmud that he wanted to go to Israel because there's a lot of mitzvahs. Moshe Rabbeinu's whole life, he wanted to do mitzvahs, commandments. He wanted to fulfill God's will. He was a servant of God. And in the land of Israel, there's so many more commandments that you could fulfill, connected to the Beis Hamikdash, Karbonis, the laws of purity, Tum and Taira. So Moshe Rabbeinu was dying to do all these mitzvahs, and that's why he wanted to go into Eretz Yisrael. So when God told him that he can't go into Eretz Yisrael, why did he say, okay, not in Eretz Yisrael, let me stay on this world? And then when he said, you can't stay in this world as a human being, why did Moses keep on pushing? He kept on saying that, okay, I can't go as a human being, put my soul into an animal. What mitzvah could an animal do? An animal can't do any mitzvahs. It can't pray. It can't put on tefillin. It can't keep the Shabbos. It can't do any of the laws. What's the purpose of being like an animal or being like a bird? What was this? When Moses' death to a Jew, to any Jew, is not the end. It's you go into a new universe, a spiritual universe. Moses would have gone to the highest levels of Gan Eden, the highest levels of all the spiritual worlds. He would have been sitting in the academies in the Mesiftel Shalmaila, learning Torah with God and with all the great sages and angels. It would have been a crazy, beautiful, spiritual experience that would be very, very enjoyable for Moshe Rabbeinu. What was he afraid of death? Why was he so determined that I should stay in this world, if not like a human being, like an animal, like a bird? What was he pushing for? The answer is very simple, even though I see the commentaries really struggling with this, but the answer is actually extremely simple. Let me ask you a question. Where is God? What kind of stupid question is that? God is everywhere. Everything, God is everywhere. And God is above time and space. So he's in time and space. He's above time and space. Everywhere, everything, God is everywhere. Okay, but where really is? Where really? He's really everywhere. So the answer is, that's not the answer. That's not the correct answer. The Kabbalists and the masters of Hasidut specifically elaborate upon this, especially the masters of Hasidut Chabad. The whole Tanya, classic sefer, the magnum opus of the first of Rav Shneur Zalman, the one who founded Hasidut Chabad, is based on this, and all the subsequent leaders of Chabad throughout 7 generations elaborated upon this, and the Rebbe wrote enormous amounts, spoke about it, all to develop this concept. but I'm giving to you in a nutshell, in a very simple way. Where is God? If you ask somebody who works very hard all day, whatever they do, maybe they're a businessman, maybe they work in the fields, maybe she's a checkout clerk at Walmart, doesn't make a difference. The whole day they're gone, they're working very hard. And you ask them, how do you spend your days? Where are you a whole day? Well, I'm in Walmart, I'm in the field, I'm in the business, I'm in my office. But where are you? In other words, where do you feel that you really are? Do you really want to be there? Is that really where you want to be? No, of course not. I want to be with my family. I have a beautiful family, a wife, children. I want to spend time with them, but I need money. I have to support my family. I can't spend good times with my family unless I spend most of my day earning money. So a whole day when you're working hard, where are you really? Your physical body is in your office, but you're with your family, and you're doing it for your family, and your mind is with your family. That's really where you are. In a spiritual sense, that's really where you are. So yes, God is everywhere, but where does he really want to be? So this is a very interesting concept. God does not have any needs because he has everything. He's infinite. There's nothing he needs. But Chassidut teaches us that God actually has wants. Now, by human being, usually you have a want, usually. Not always. Some things you want, things that don't make any sense. But usually there's a reason why you want something. Because it's going to give you something. You want to work, so you should have money. You want money, so you should have food. You want food, so you could stay alive and keep your family alive. Usually there's a reason for your wants. But not always. With God, there is never a reason, really, because he doesn't need anything. But he has wants. If you're going to say that he doesn't have wants, then you're limiting him. You're not limiting him by saying that he wants something, because then you're making him human. No. Because if you have no purpose, and you have no desire, so what are you living for? So God is infinite, and he's the source of everything. But if he has no reason why he's living, and why he is, and what he wants, that's actually a limitation. That's not disrespectful to God. That's actually saying that he's so infinite that he even has wants. And that means that this living with purpose and meaning is what gives life meaning. That's what life is about. If you're living a life and you have no purpose, no goal, no meaning, then what kind of life is that? So you can't take that away from God. God also has it. So what does he want? He wants to be here. He wants to be on this physical world together with the children, with the Jewish people who he chose. But he didn't choose the Jewish people because he only wanted the Jewish people. He chose the Jewish people because through them he will connect to the rest of the world. Eventually, the entire world, even all the non-Jews, will join the Jewish people and will all enjoy this beautiful relationship as God's children. The Jews are meant to keep the fire going and the flame going and inspire people until we get to the point when Mashiach comes, and then Mashiach will take it to the next level. The Messiah will come and he'll bring the whole world together to serve God and to connect to God and to be one with God and to enjoy this beautiful, loving relationship with our Father in heaven. So where is God? So when Moses was about to die, Moshe Rabbeinu, he told Abish to please, I know I'm going to go to Shemayim, I'm going to go to the highest levels of heaven, study Torah with you, study Torah with all the greatest sages of all times, angels. It's going to be beautiful, beautiful. But I know your heart is not there. In that Mesifta Deraki, in that heavenly court, in that heavenly Beis Medrash, in that heavenly academy where you're studying the Torah, when you're up there with them, you're thinking about what's happening down here. That's really where your heart is. And that's really where you are. And I want to be with you. And I love you so much. And I so much want to connect to you that if I have to be here as an animal, he wasn't asking God to turn him into an animal, but that his soul will be invested in an animal. So that means Moses' soul will be here in the same place as God. And God said, no, that's going to happen. There'll be resurrection of the dead, and you're going to live forever. At this point, you need to make room. Joshua is going to take over. You can't be here. Whatever the reason, that's not the point. We have to think about this, because if you look at the world today, it's such a mess. There's so much evil in the world. I'm not going to go into it in this video. It's on Medshaba. So you all know what's going on in the world. Anti-Semitism, Israel, everybody hates us. Everybody's killing us. It's just nonstop. And you want to think, like, what crazy place is this to be? Get me out of here. This is a sick, sick place. Wherever you turn, sickness, craziness, hatred, woke, insanity. This is where it's at. This is the most beautiful place to be. The reason why all this evil is coming out is so that God could clean it up. If the evil wouldn't emerge, God can't get rid of it. There's real evil like Amalek, the vicious anti-Semites who want to murder Jews, Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran. God's going to have to wipe them off the face of the world. They're irredeemable. Most people are just very confused and brainwashed. God has to clean them up, but the evil has to come out so God can wash it all away. So the lesson I want you to take home this Shabbos is this world is a beautiful world. This world is where God is. This world is where we can have this incredible connection with God that you can't have anywhere else. And that's why Moses was begging to stay here. This is a beautiful place. And soon when Mashiach comes, we will all see how beautiful it is. When there's Ruach HaTum Avim in the Eretz, there's not going to be any evil, not going to be Amalek. Everybody's going to join us together and enjoy this incredible relationship with Hashem. Have a wonderful Shabbos.